What is up, Level Up Nation, and welcome to the Monday, May 24th edition of LvLUp Live, your home for gaming and esports news, brought to you by OTN Media. My name is Fiasco. You can call me John. And that dude over here bobbing his head to that fantastic music. Couldn't tell you who made the music or anything else, though. But Joey, that's the king of the courtside. You can call him Joe. What's up, buddy?
Doing well. So, guys, this is a little bit funny. I started an MLB The Show game right before this podcast. I had it timed out perfectly. We were at 7:59 Eastern time over here, guys. 1 out to go, 2 strikes on the board, and I decided to give up a home run. So I am finishing the end of this game over here because that just happened. But other than that, John, we're off to a new week. We have a lot of, not really a ton to talk about today, but there's been a lot happening in gaming and esports in general. So I'm excited to dive into some of the stuff for today's show.
A lot of it happened for Joey on the virtual diamond over there as he struggles to finish that game. What are you in the? You're in the 10th inning, 11th inning now?
I am in the bottom of the 10th, so I'm up by 2 after a nice little home run shot. So I just need to close this guy out, and we're good to go.
All right, Joey. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do the social media plug here very slowly for you. So to give you plenty of time here. Nation, make sure you follow the show on Twitter and Facebook at LvLUp Live. That's at LvLUp Live. And while you're on Twitter, why not give Joey and myself a follow? Joey won't know if you follow him or not because he's too busy playing MLB The Show. I follow him at Courtside King. You follow myself at Fiasco. If you're watching live on Twitch, first off, thank you for tuning in on Twitch. That's where you get the spiciness of the live show. A lot of fun there. Thank you for tuning in. You can check out those handles right below the mugshots you're currently staring at. And if you're one of our fantastic podcast listeners, you can catch those handles in the show notes for you below. Nation, I think I just said it. Podcast. Yeah, there's a podcast version of the show called the LvLUp Podcast. It's available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. And if you're going to listen to the podcast version, which you definitely should, please do leave us a review. Ratings and reviews do go a long way in helping grow the audience and also giving us the feedback from you, our listeners and viewers, on what you want this show to be for you. We do our best to make the show as entertaining as possible and insightful as possible. So if there's anything you would like us to touch on, any subject matter you want us to cover, any league you would like us to touch on, please do give us that feedback in those reviews. We do pay attention to them, and we do appreciate all of that feedback we get. We also appreciate you for tuning in and listening. All right, Joey, I try to drag that out as long as possible, but now it's your segment. What in the world are we talking about? Hit that pause button real quick.
Last pitch. We're talking about this final out coming out over here by third base because it's a catch and it's a game. Let's go, fam. Okay, so on this one monitor over here, we're talking about console sales. Q1 2021 results are in. Looking at what that means for the PS5 as well as the new Xbox Series X and S. Then from there, we're going to dive into a couple gaming-related updates, some date changes here and there, somewhat COVID-related, some just project management-related, looking at Elder Scrolls Online, as well as a couple other leaks that have come out about Forza Horizon, Arc 2, and a few other titles here and there. Then we're going to dive into a couple things to look out for as we get closer to summer, and then a bunch of esports talk. The NBA 2K League just had the tip-off tournament. We're going to dive into that as well as some Valorant stuff with the Masters event now happening. CDL heading into Stage 4 this weekend, Overwatch League updates, MSI, and much more.
Absolutely. Tons to talk about today. Not as much as normal, so hopefully we're not in for one of those epic hour-and-a-half shows here. It'll be a good episode regardless. Joe, we have our topics. We have the social media plug. We have the review plug, which means there's one more pre-show thing we need to do. And of course, that's covering the drink of choice. So Joey, your beverage for today's episode on the 24th of May.
I am back from my last can of the Brewer Who Laughs from Aslan Brewery. So I'm drinking this. I don't have the description in front of me once again, but it's a double IPA. I quite enjoy it. Again, I wasn't a huge IPA fan until I discovered this brewery. But they've changed my taste buds a little bit, so I've started to drink them a little bit more. This is kind of one of those ones that falls between like a hoppy and smooth IPA, so it's got a little bit of a bite to it, but I enjoy it quite a bit.
You know, the funny thing for all of our listeners and viewers out there is this past Friday we got Korean barbecue with some of the amazing production staff from the Game Gym to celebrate not just friendship, but celebrate the awesome event that was the Spring Summit as well the other weekend. And sure enough, as we pass the road to go to Aslan Brewery, Joey, of course, gets very excited, points out that that's the road to the brewery, which I quickly replied, have they sponsored you yet? And he gave me a very quick and sad no. So Joey, still the unofficial shout outs from Aslan Brewery. So there you go. Joey, cheers. That is a Jack. That's not Jack and Coke. No, it's Captain Morgan and Coke. It's a rum and Coke. I forgot what liquor I put in there. I swear this is my first drink of the evening, but that is a rum and Coke. Joey, you have your beverage from Aslan Brewery, and I have my rum and Coke. Let's go ahead and hop into. Let's get right into gaming and esports news. Let's go.
Absolutely. As a newly crowned NLCS champion, I'm feeling quite good, John, diving into this.
Wait. Who are you playing as again?
I'm playing as the Dodgers. Okay. It's kind of a cheat code.
It's a very big cheat code.
Yeah, Dodgers, and we made some educated trades, let's say, for a few other players that probably should not ever be on the Dodgers lineup the way it is now. And I don't know how the salary cap worked for them, but hey, we are here and we're making things happen. Speaking of making things happen, let's talk about these Q1 console sale results. According to GameSpot, the Q1 2020 numbers are in for the console sales, or what many people on Twitter want to consider the console wars. I'm honestly super impressed with the way the Xbox is selling. Go figure, me, the Xbox guy. Yeah, this is really close, a lot closer than I expected. So PS5 is coming out with 2.83 million units being sold in Q1 of 2021. Xbox Series X and S selling at 1.31 million units. That only puts them about a little over 1 point unit behind the PlayStation units, about 1.5 to be exact. That's a lot closer than I was expecting. So why? Why am I expecting to be less close than that? PS4, compared to Xbox One users, John, you and I have talked about this before, PlayStation easily won out last generation. They were far, far ahead in terms of console sales, in terms of users that are actively engaging on the platform. So going into this new generation, a lot of the people were expecting, a lot of sales analysts are expecting those carryover to happen from PlayStation 4 to PS5. And it is. I mean, PS5 is selling extremely well in general. It sold way more than the PS4 even did at launch. But overall, video games are selling higher in general as well. So over Q1 of 2021, I was expecting PlayStation to be up maybe 4 or 5 million even. Part of this probably is due to the fact that we do have limited consoles being produced right now with all the COVID-19 changes going on. A lot of these chips and processors and everything like that, certain parts of the consoles are just not as readily available. And with that being the case, I think PlayStation could have sold a lot more. But with where we are right now, only 1.5 million units ahead, at least for this quarter. And that's also keeping in mind, like Xbox not only coming in with the lesser population from last generation, but they're also waiting longer for the AMD tech. They didn't start producing until like July, I believe, for these new Series consoles. And then they're also upgrading the xCloud server blades to Series X blades as well. So they're kind of being tugged in multiple directions on top of that overall delay coming up front. I think, again, I don't want to make this sound like this is just purely Xbox is great. This is something that is great for both consoles as they're both selling extremely well in Q1, given the supplies that are available. With that being said, though, Xbox is just a lot closer to the PlayStation numbers than I would have expected them to be at this point.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I'm kind of surprised that there's been 2.83 million PlayStation 5s out there, just with how ridiculous it's been trying to find one and purchase one successfully. Finding them online is fairly easy to do. It's getting them into your cart and then finishing the checkout process before Best Buy or GameStop or one of the many other retailers out there tell you, oh, too bad, so sad, sold out in 0.5 seconds again. But no, I mean, look, overall, we're looking at what, 4 million units between the two, sold
for Q1 of 2021.
Yeah, for Q1. That's awesome. You know, we constantly talk about all the ups and downs during the COVID era of gaming. And if anything, the demand has been even higher on the gaming industry, you know, for people, you know, trying to find entertainment when they were quarantined, locked in their house and they couldn't do anything. It makes complete sense why video games are booming even more than ever. And it's because of the ongoing pandemic, which, knock on wood, light at the end of the tunnel, it seems like. But I feel like this, you know, 14, 15-month period has kind of rekindled, you know, all the adults' inner child, if you will. And they have rediscovered the magic that is video games. So I think it's really cool. A little over 4 million sold between the two. Xbox Series X and S selling very well. So I mean, I think you can't be upset with either one. Yes, the PlayStation is going to sell better internationally when you bring all those numbers in. It makes sense. Like it just is what it is. It's going to happen that way. But overall, both platforms selling incredibly well, and that's a big win for the gaming industry overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing here is, I mean, every console that's going up on a website, whether it be your Walmart or your Target or your Best Buy or stores overseas, like John was saying, internationally, they're all selling out almost instantly. The longest I think I've heard that they've lasted is like 7 minutes so far on websites. So overall, both these consoles selling extremely quickly, extremely well. PlayStation 5, I think, either just launched or just opened pre-orders in China. So that's going to be another balloon to their sales as well. And then Xbox as well is going to open up, I think, early June, if I remember correctly. So once you have China into the mix too, now, a lot of those Chinese gamers in particular are going to prefer PC, are going to prefer mobile platforms, but they still do sell quite a few consoles over there for both these makers. So I expect these numbers to go up even more once that happens. But on top of that, once we see more production, at this point, I think it's going to be more toward early, maybe even mid 2022. They were originally projecting summer 2021. Everything would be back up to date. We'd be good to go like line-wise. But I think the demand of these consoles has surprised them, as well as the delay to some of those factory lines. So I'm thinking it could even be summer 2022 before we see these readily available. So for now, we'll keep an eye on that. As John said, it's about 4 million units between the two for Q1 2021. Hopefully, again, as we see more supplies come, we'll see that demand continue to go as well. As we get closer to some of those next-gen titles, because we really haven't seen too many next-gen titles, in a sense, come out. I think probably the next biggest one is going to be Ratchet & Clank, and that's going to come out in June for PlayStation platforms. Then later in the year, we know of Halo Infinite coming out. The possibility of maybe Horizon Forbidden West and God of War. There's a couple unannounced AAA games that could be considered next-gen as well in the mix here and there between the platforms. So we'll see what ends up coming out. But yeah, for now, sales coming pretty good for what's available. The only other thing I'd like to see, John, is a breakdown of how many of these actually went to owners that have logged into the console versus scalpers.
You know, that would be really good. You can go on eBay right now or your online resale marketplace of choice. Joey, I could have made a killing. I'm going to be completely honest. When I got the Series X, it was a 3.5 month process, but when it finally happened, I'm not going to lie, it was very tempting to resell it with how ridiculous those prices are currently going for on the resale market. And, I'm glad I didn't, but two, like, it's stupid tempting, but guys, just, and I don't mean this. I'm not knocking people who resell consoles or anything. Look, it's a $500 console. Don't pay $1,100 for it. Like, I get it. Supply and demand. The demand's incredibly high. Don't pay $1,100 for that. Like, that's what they want you to do. They want you to pay a premium because it's so hot in demand right now. Look, there will be a time when this is going to be so much easier to get these consoles, and you don't want to be out an extra $600-$700 because you are impatient. Stick with last gen console if you still have it. If you're a PC gamer and you're looking to pick up a console, don't be in a rush right now because you're going to have to pay a premium if you're unable to secure it from a retailer. Keep trying your luck at the retailers, but it's not worth dropping $1,100-$1,200 on these consoles. It's ridiculous. Just wait.
Well, the other thing is, like, there's not that many next-gen available games at the moment. Like, sure, you're going to get increased speed, and your hard drive is going to end up being able to load a bit faster, and you get cool features like quick resume or some of the velocity architecture for upgrading things here and there, which is great, and I've definitely loved some of these features that we're seeing. I think the new DualSense controller from PS5 is also really cool, and those features with the triggers are awesome, but is it worth an extra $500 to have it a couple months earlier? Probably not at this point. I think if we get into 2022, maybe even summer 2022, and these consoles are still super limited and getting them, maybe at that point you start considering paying a little bit more. I don't know if I would pay close to $500 more, but maybe 100 here or there if it's still super limited as we get closer to some of these next gen game launches. But even then, guys, I really think waiting it out is probably the way to go, at least for the near future.
Yeah, and GameStop, stop with that bundle crap you're doing where you're throwing in like 2 extra controllers and 2 games nobody wants, plus like 2 months of PlayStation Plus for like your PS5s and whatnot, and charging $900 for a bundle that nobody wants to play. Like, just stop. Just sell the console straight up.
I hate the bundles. That
pisses me
so
off.
Obnoxious. All the bundle deals are obnoxious. Even like the ones with Game Pass. Like Game Pass is a great deal, don't get me wrong, but it's just the bundle thing is just goofy with it. Now the all access bundle, I think that is an amazing deal. I think that is a really, really cool deal. But some of these other ones, like you're saying, and like adding another controller in, if you're not going to play, if it's only going to be a single player console for you, there's no reason to pay a premium to get an extra controller. So it's just little things like that. They try to get you here and there, and it's just obnoxious.
And don't think they're going to give you a discount on it. You're still paying full price for everything. They're just making you pay it all up front right now because they know the demand's high. Retailers are just as tricky and shifty as the resellers on eBay are. So don't give them the benefit of the doubt because they have a brand name like Best Buy or GameStop. As we throw everyone under the bus.
I mean, absolutely. Everyone is out there to get advantage of the business, and the video game business is so hot right now. Whether you're watching the stock market and let's not pretend GameStop here. They're doing their own thing as far as the stock market goes. But if you look at a lot of these other video game publishers or console makers, their stocks have been going up based on the demand coming out here for video games. And as John talked about earlier, the engagement for video games over the past 12 months has been absolutely off the charts. I expect these to continue, whether it be the demand, whether it be the engagement, as we start to get to I don't know if we can call it a post-COVID world, but a world where we're transitioning out of being in quarantine at least. I think the demand for video games will still be pretty high up there. Transitioning from console sales to some more online gaming talk. Let's talk Elder Scrolls Online, popular MMO coming out of ZeniMax and Bethesda. Its console enhanced launch will be moved back a week. So that update 30, which is titled Blackwood, I believe that's their new expansion zone, and the console enhanced update aren't dropping the same week. So some new dates coming out from Bethesda and ZeniMax Online. We're looking at June 1st for the Blackwood drop rather, on PC, Mac, and Stadia. June 8th is going to drop on last-gen Xbox and PlayStation consoles, as well as the next-gen consoles via backwards compatibility. So if you're on a PS5 or an Xbox Series X, you'll be able to play on June 8th for that new expansion. But keep in mind, it's not that next-gen title in a sense. You're playing the Xbox One version or the PS4 version, just enhanced for that new console. And then June 15th, you get that fully enhanced version, your higher frame rates, your higher graphical resolution, your faster load times, all that goodness, all mixed into that next console. So again, expansion is dropping for PC and Stadia on June 1st. For Xbox and PlayStation, you can pretty much play anything on June 8th. And then you get those next-gen enhancements a week later on June 15th. John, I have not played Elder Scrolls Online. I don't know if you've dove into it. I know I've messaged you a few times like, John, I'm feeling a hankering to dive into this MMO, and then I talk myself out of it every time. But it's one of those games that, like, I love the idea of, like, elven races, and they do a very good job with them in Elder Scrolls. I really like some of the lore and the weaponry based out of that as well. And a lot of their expansions have looked very sick as far as just the differences of zones. Like, you can really feel the different aspects of the biomes, at least from what I've seen in screenshots and videos. So I'm always tempted to dive into this game. I haven't done it yet, but who knows? With a console enhanced edition, maybe this summer I'll end up actually taking that dive in.
Don't do it. Don't. As someone who's played MMOs, it will suck you in, and it will take your life.
Have you tried Elder Scrolls Online?
I have not. No.
Okay.
My life is
you've
currently
done some
committed.
WoW, you've done some Old Republic.
Well,
did you tried Final Fantasy too at one point, didn't you? 15 or 16 or whatever the online
I think
one
I
is.
downloaded. I don't think I ever opened it.
There you go.
There you go.
So that's our resident MMO player.
Yeah.
He's played WoW though. That's the one that matters the most, it seems like, as far as popularity. So we'll go ahead and watch as that comes. Blackwood, again, if you guys are interested for some ESO stuff, that is going to drop June 1st. Over to some game updates, leaks, etc. Let's talk about Forza. So, John, we've talked about it before on the show. Forza Horizon 5, I was hoping for Japan. It sounds more like it's going to be a drop in Mexico now. Now, Mexico's cool. You get some good pyramids, you get some valleys, you get some cool beaches. I think Mexico could be a really awesome location for the next Forza Horizon series to jump into. Based on, this is an interesting one where this leak is coming from, or this supposed leak rather. It's coming from a reputable Hot Wheels racer leaker guy. So this is someone who leaks Hot Wheels cars before they get officially announced. He goes in, he leaks pictures of the car itself, he leaks pictures of the packaging. So we're a little out there on this one, but based on that, it sounds like it will be Mexico, and it sounds like it could drop in September. I originally heard Forza Horizon was going to be ready this fall. I haven't heard anything else since then. A lot of people have talked about it being shifted to 2022 potentially. I think it's still a possibility for later this year, but this could be something like Halo 2, where we saw Halo Infinite toys get released last year, but the game itself got delayed. That could be the same case here. But yeah, we're going off of a Hot Wheels leaker this time, John, and it sounds like it could release this fall based on that.
Joey, what a world we live in where we're taking gaming leaks from somebody who leaks Hot Wheels car information and packaging and stuff. This is the world I signed up to live in, Joey, and I am absolutely hyped that we are getting that leak information from a Hot Wheels guy. I think that's awesome. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's something a little different. Like, it's not a traditional gaming leaker, someone who leaks Hot Wheels cars and packaging. So yeah, based on that, we have a possibility of a Forza Horizon game based in Mexico, which we've heard leaked from a couple gaming leakers as well. But on top of that, seeing the packaging, there's sand in the background. It looks like that could be the next location. And the idea of driving around Mexico, at least to me, John, sounds pretty cool. I mean, like, you have beaches like Cancun. You have a lot of like Aztec civilization culture there that they could potentially build into the game. I'm very curious what the landscape is going to look like, because this last game was based in England. So you get like the nice rolling fog in, you get some nice pastures like you would see in like in England and Ireland, Scotland even. So yeah, moving over to Mexico, the idea of driving around that landscape seems kind of fun to me. Sliding over, or maybe we should just drift into the next topic. According to a leaker on Reddit who claims to be an Arc 2 dev, Arc 2 will feature the following. 3 maps at launch will be coming to Arc 2, according to this leaker. We're going to have creatures get the addition of sleep cycles, i.e. some of the creatures will be nocturnal and some other creatures will be diurnal. That's something that wasn't in Arc 1, at least from my limited playtime in there. I remember like giraffes and elephants and whatever walking around whatever time of the day, not really caring and not really knowing the difference. So the idea of this is kind of cool to me. Maybe we see more owls at night, or we see possums or something. I don't know what creatures they're going to put in there.
Possums.
I mean, possums are nocturnal, right? That's a thing.
They are, but like Ark's known for dinosaurs, and you go to possums as the example.
Okay. I mean, who did not hear of a prehistoric possum? Possum had to come from something, right?
It was not from a T-Rex, Joey. It was.
Well, it came from a baby T-Rex.
It did not. No.
Okay, so
someone
maybe
didn't pay
dinosaurs.
attention in earth science and biology. And
okay, I swear when I played Ark, there were like elephants and giraffes and things.
Well, there were, but like, it's known for their dinosaurs. It's like talking. It's like, oh, MLB The Show. I really enjoy the opening menu. It's like no one goes there for the opening menu. No one goes to Ark for possums and giraffes. They go there to catch a pterodactyl and a T-Rex.
If I remember correctly, there were quite a few OTN members who really enjoyed catching and taming wolves, which last I checked, wolves are not dinosaurs, good sir.
Clue doesn't count though, because he just has some kind of fascination with wolves. It's really weird.
Okay, so 3 maps at launch. You get creatures with sleep cycles. Whether they're dinosaurs or possums, we'll let you guys decide on that one. A couple other things here. There will be a deeper story focus on the 3 launch maps, which will include a reworked artifact system and no longer include bosses. Fun fact, I have very limited experience with Ark. I didn't even know there was an artifact system or bosses in general. So that's a thing, and it's going to be reworked, and it's going to be a little bit different coming to this new one. I see you laughing at me. Did you know this? Like, yes. I have very limited experience with Ark in general.
Yes, Joey. Yes, it's.
Okay, so how do you feel about a reworked artifact system then? Did you enjoy the last artifact system?
I hated it. A lot of the systems in Ark were broken, and that was the beauty of it. Was the fact that they had all the different mods you could activate and completely change the game. So yeah. No, I was not a fan of the standard systems they put in the game. I was a fan of the modded version of the game.
Okay, Squircle in chat is making fun of my possums as well. So apparently, possums and dinosaurs do not go together, fam. Um, other things. This is something I think everyone likes in any kind of game. There's going to be more character customization options. Supposedly, it's gotten a complete overhaul. I think Arcs was pretty detailed, if I remember correctly. At this point, so if you guys have played Code Vein, it's a little bit more of like an anime style game. I feel like everyone needs to look at that game for character customization. The ability to like just change everything was like super, almost intimate in a sense, like the level of detail you could put into characters in that game. I think something like that could be cool to add into a game like Arc. So I don't know exactly what a complete overhaul means. I would assume it's going to look very different and probably include a lot more options. Last I saw, I think it was on the same leak post, they said something about 400 to 500 options are in works already. So it should be a pretty detailed character customization option available.
Yeah, and the life cycle in Arc/Atlas also, or wherever the heck that rip off of Arc that wasn't Arc is called. The life cycle for your character was really weird. The customization was awful, and it feels like you got to 99 years old in like 8 hours played in game. And then you're stuck with like this old wrinkly avatar for the rest of the time. It's really weird. I don't like it.
So I wonder if this is just the initial character customization or if they are going to dive deeper into that. Like, was haircutting an option in the game? Could you like change your hair or whatever?
Yes. Unfortunately,
Okay.
haircutting was an option. OTN member Tater Tots was very good at crafting scissors and going around and cutting everyone's hair while they logged off and their character slept, and you come back and your female character would have a mohawk, or I don't know, is this really yeah. No one's safe.
Nice.
No one's safe.
Absolutely. So guys, that's what we have so far for Arc 2. Again, we saw the trailer. I think it was, when was it? The Game Awards? We saw that trailer with Vin Diesel. I think it was the Game Awards. So who knows? It could have a little bit more story. Again, we're talking about the artifact system being reworked. No bosses apparently, but they're going to be more deep story on at least these first 3 initial maps. So I'm hoping we get a little bit more, maybe not cutscenes necessarily, but some kind of depth of lore within the game that's a little bit more translatable to someone who just wants to jump in here and there and interact more with the story behind the game itself. So we'll see what's coming, but if these are true, it seems like a pretty good start so far to Arc 2 to me. Upcoming JRPG fans, the Scarlet Nexus demo is available for download on Xbox consoles as of right now. It's coming to PlayStation consoles later this week. I don't know if this one's actually available for PC gamers as well. Not 100% sure if it's coming to there or Switch. But if you are on an Xbox console, it is now available. It's pretty fun. I was playing through as both characters. I'm a lot better at the male character than the female character. He carries a blade. She carries, it's almost like shurikens that kind of float around her. The style reminds me, if you played Nier Automata, it plays very similar to Nier Automata with the added ability of like psychokinetic powers involved. So you can kind of, I'm not going to say combat's more fluid, but there's different things that you can intertwine into the combat that make it a little bit more interesting from fight to fight. So overall, definitely want to check out if you are a JRPG fan. I personally liked it from the demo. And again, PlayStation console users, you guys will get that this week as well. Geoff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. John, this one's set to kick off on Thursday, June 10th. We talked about it last week. 2 p.m. on June 10th is the time for the kickoff live event. It's going to be a live world premiere showcase, which will include new game announcements and world premieres. I took the numbers off here, but if I remember correctly, it was something around 12 to 15 world premieres, and somewhere around 25 to 30 game titles will be shown. On top of that, video game-themed musical performances. One of the performing artists is going to be Weezer. They have special guests coming as well. I'm actually not sure who they are, but we'll have to keep an eye out for that. And then Day of the Devs with I Am 8-Bit will be participating in that kickoff live event as well. I feel like Geoff Keighley does a pretty good job with these events. The Game Awards, we've seen really grow in viewership year over year by quite a giant margin, especially compared to other award shows that we see throughout, not the gaming industry, but just Hollywood in general. You look at the Academy Awards, the Oscars, all of these other shows have been almost struggling a bit in viewership compared to year-over-year analysis. The Game Awards has been jumping up higher and higher. This will be the first time we see some kind of opening night show with Summer Game Fest. So I expect Geoff Keighley to probably kick this one off pretty spicily.
Spicily?
I know, I just made up that word, and I think I'm going to add it to a dictionary somewhere.
Go for it.
So Merriam-Webster, you know where to call. And he takes a drink. Okay, fam. So again, that is Thursday, June 10th at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be called Kickoff Live, and that is for Geoff Keighley's Summer Game Fest. What a night, fam. What a night. NBA 2K, the tip-off, the kickoff tournament of the new NBA 2K season. What is this, Season 4 that we're entering into, John?
Yeah, Season 4.
Season 4 for the NBA 2K League. So things popping off there. We are home to the Wizards District Gaming, the champions of Season 3 over here in Washington, D.C. Kicking things off, though, they ended up finishing in 3rd/4th for this tournament, getting taken down by the team that went on to win it all, and that is the T-Wolves. T-Wolves Gaming take home the win for this one. Second place going to 76ers GC with WizDG and Magic Gaming finishing in 3rd and 4th respectively. So still finishing in the prize pool, but not quite where they want to be. We know this WizDG squad is very hungry for victory. They want to come back and repeat as champions, returning a number of players from their roster last year as well. They look pretty like they could definitely do it. I mean, the talent is there. The coaching is amazing with Pat Crossan over there, the organization of MSE behind them. So everything very possible for WizDG, but at least to kick things off, 76ers, GC, and T-Wolves Gaming being the two teams that made it into that final. T-Wolves Gaming behind Bear to Beast looking very strong so far.
Yeah, you know, the thing that's absolutely funny about this is you take a look at the 76ers GC as a whole. This is a team that really struggles in the regular season, but for whatever reason, these mini tournaments throughout the season, they just absolutely pop off in. And once again, they made it to the finals here in the tip-off tournament against the T-Wolves. And it was a really good matchup between the two. T-Wolves came out. They played incredibly strong. They definitely deserved to win. Don't sleep on WizDG. Definitely do not sleep on them. They are returning 5 of their 6 members of their championship roster. Reese to God being the only one not on the roster as he was taking 7th overall to Lakers Gaming in the last draft. He was the one of 2 players not protected. B-Rich was not protected either, but they did redraft him back to the team. So they got the team back along with XO LeBron was their big new signing, and he's been popping off as well. Joey, I'm actually a big fan of Nudini flexing over to shooting guard. He's been lights out playing that shooting guard position. You know, I think we coined the nickname Dini Dagger when we were doing the Spring 16 tournament last year for him. And, I mean, him at shooting guard, he's just lighting it up also. It's a really fast-paced, aggressive style of play that we're seeing from this new WizDG lineup, and I'm really liking it.
Yeah, I think there's loads of potential over there, and especially with the leadership of even a young player like JBM and Dave Fry coming together, both extremely talented, Dave Fry being a leader on and off the virtual court, and then JBM just, I mean, almost coming in with ice in his veins in that initial season after being drafted #1 overall. That team is just very stellar, very good on and off the court as far as communication, and I feel like they're poised for another good run at the Cup again this year.
Championship chemistry, Wizards District Gaming.
Absolutely. From NBA 2K League to Valorant, Panicking Pat over here in chat does call it a dead game from time to time, but we are kicking off its first Masters International event. This one happening in Reykjavik over in Iceland. I believe I pronounced that right, but not 100%. Chat, you can criticize me for that as well as my possums and Ark. This one's interesting though, John. I like Valorant as an esport. It can run a bit long to watch from time to time, as we've known from casting it. I think we had like a 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. cast at one point for one of the Triple Crown events here in the DMV. But it is a fun game. I think the spectator client has improved over the last couple months. I feel like Riot is making good changes. They have a great model to go off of in League of Legends already. How can they translate that over to a shooter? And I think so far we've seen a lot of good improvements in that area. Kicking things off, we had the play-ins, or round 1 rather. Today we had Crew up against Fnatic. Crew being the organization that Sergio Aguero started. Manchester City legend. He actually just finished his last game for Manchester City. I am shilling hard today. So his esports team not doing quite as well as Sergio did, as they do go down 0-2 and lose to Fnatic today. Over on the other side of round 1, we had CR up against Version 1. Version 1 taking the win there 2-0 to move on. That's going to set us up for our upper bracket round 1. Fnatic is going to take on Sentinels from NA. Now, keep in mind, this is a Sentinels team that is missing one of their star players as well. We had all this stuff happen earlier when it came down to, wow, I just forgot his name as I'm speaking. Sinatra, yeah. See, look at that. You're gone for 6 months, and this is what happens. So Sinatra, we went through all the whole sexual harassment stuff. He did end up getting a ban in the end, so he is going to be out of commission at least for 6 months, which rightfully so, in my opinion, and I hope they continue to investigate that situation. But for now, you're going to see a Sentinels team that's played without him for, I believe, 2 months now. I think he originally got benched in March. Now they're going to continue on up against a red-hot Fnatic team who just put together a new roster. They ended up with 3 players staying as well as 2 new players coming in after some changes about a month or 2 ago, and then they ran the gauntlet to make it in initially. Now they have probably their toughest test yet in Sentinels. A couple other teams here. We have X10 up against VKS. We'll see how that one goes in the upper bracket round 1. You have New up against Shook, and then TL up against version 1 as well. TL being another one of those teams that was very hotly contested early on when players were picking, or when rosters were being picked up. T1 initially, I can't think of the name of the initial roster out there, but it was one of the teams over in Europe that continued to compete at a very high level. You have some great players on there like Scream, a veteran of the CS scene, paired up with a number of other young players as well. So I'm excited, John. Again, I'm going to keep an eye on this one. I think Valorant has a lot of potential as an esport. We've seen CSGO be dominant for years. We've seen Riot Games do extremely well in esports in general. Now kind of combining the two together in a Riot Games-led tactical shooter. We've seen the scene continue to grow throughout the year, and now kind of getting that first look at what an international event could mean for Valorant. So I'm excited to keep seeing as this one goes on. It is an upper and lower bracket, so even teams like Crew and CR have not been eliminated as of yet. They will still get that second life moving forward. Anything else to say? I know you're a huge Valorant fan.
Massive.
I know you've...
Massively huge. Big, biggity big.
Big, biggity big. So keep an eye on that one, guys. It did kick off today. Those initial matches happening. So they will be happening throughout the rest of the week as well. Again, this is the Valorant Masters International event in Reykjavik, Iceland. Over to CDL. Call of Duty League is prepping up to head into Stage 4. We haven't talked too much about Call of Duty League so far this year. Looking at the Stage 4 schedule, I think there are quite a few exciting matches to look up ahead, though. To catch you guys up a little bit, John, let's dive in with some of the season, or Stage 3 rather, standings. Over in Group A, we ended up with Toronto Ultra at 5-0. The Florida Mutineers tied up with the Dallas Empire at 3-2. Two teams that did quite well in the initial season of Call of Duty League as well. You have the Minnesota Rocker at 2-3. The Los Angeles Guerrillas at 1-4, and the Paris Legion rounding out at 1-4 as well, tied for that 5th spot. Then over to Group B, the New York Subliners and the Atlanta FaZe stood in your top 1 and 2 spots at 4-1. The LA Thieves bought out by 100 Thieves. That was originally, I believe that was the, I don't remember which team they ended up buying out there. But 3-2 is what they're sitting at the moment in the standings at 3. Number 4 is Optic Chicago, tied up with your London Royal Ravens at 4 and 5 respectively. And then the Seattle Surge. They are not surging, John, unless you count downward. Karma, I believe, retired after Season 1, one of the veteran players who had won quite a few CDL events in the past, or Call of Duty World Championships, whatever they were called prior to CDL. In the end, Seattle not looking too good in Stage 3. We'll see if they can turn it around as we head into Stage 4. The Stage 4 standings are all 0-0-0 because it hasn't started yet. It does kick off later this week. I believe it's this upcoming weekend in the general. So I'm excited. I think Call of Duty League is one of those leagues where we've seen it see some ebb and flow. I think the viewership in general seemed to benefit more from the modern warfare aspects. Now that we've kind of taken a dive back to Cold War, while it's a cool area to inspect, especially from a campaign perspective, it has seemed like viewership has dipped a bit in terms of the multiplayer arena. T-Spans, welcome to chat, buddy. Anything else you want to say on CDL, sir? I know you're super hyped for Stage 4.
I'm enjoying T-Spans' reaction to his Nightbot command. Then he also says CDL is dead. There you go, T-Spans, the ruler of games that are alive and dead. He has declared CDL dead.
Thank you, T-Spans. We'll move that on to the superior courts around here at OTN Media. With that, let's head on to Overwatch League. So, John, we talked about a lot of changes last week for Overwatch. We dove into the idea of it moving from 6v6 to 5v5. We talked about some of the new maps that they showed, like Rome and Monte Carlo, which the map design in Overwatch is some of the best that I've seen in gaming in general, let's say. Just some very, very pretty. It's a cartoony style graphic overall, but it's just so well done the way they use the palettes in a lot of these maps, as well as just the design from a aesthetic really of esports, and being able to build that together, whether it be tighter choke points like we're going to see. I believe it's the map in Rio that's going to really add some different like alleyways into the mix here and there. So it should be fun to see how all that couples together in the end. For now, though, touching on Overwatch League, we did see some bans come through. There's still this, let's call it a league-wide ban system for Overwatch League. We saw Tracer, Sombra, Reinhardt, as well as Zenyatta get banned out for the June Joust event that's being prepared for coming later in June. It's affecting a lot of teams quite a bit. Even our own Washington Justice struggling quite a bit after a strong 4-0 start. Overall, I hate the ban system. We've talked about this before. I think the solution to it, in my opinion, is either to offer teams limited bans, or eventually when we see Overwatch 2, when you have an influx of new characters come in, I think you either eliminate it altogether or you allow the teams to take over the bans as opposed to this league-wide thing. The league-wide thing to me just doesn't allow for, I'm going to say, creativity on the team levels. It doesn't allow for the matchup itself to be analyzed in a sense of bans. So I just don't like it. It's too over-encompassing in my opinion, and it does shake up the meta a little too much for some teams, which, yes, it's great to see some bottom feeders now pulling up wins, but it also is just so hard for big teams to adjust to quick enough, as we saw with some of these other teams out there. So after this week, John, we're sitting with the Shanghai Dragons at 4-2 in first, Houston at 5-1 in second, Florida Mayhem and Dallas Fuel at 4-2 and 2-2. Wait, that can't be right. I don't know how that Dallas Fuel one is being calculated actually on these standings. And then Philadelphia Fusion at 4-2 as well. Yeah, these standings look like they need a little bit of reworking for the math. But overall, Shanghai and Houston being your top two teams at the moment when you look at the two regions of East versus West. For me, I mean, just to talk about it a little bit more, John, I'm curious to get your thoughts as far as how we're seeing this meta shift and how it, in a sense, like upsets a little bit of the balance in the league.
So here's my thing. I get the reason why you have a hero ban. Like, it makes sense. I got it. You don't want the meta to be stale. You want people to play different heroes. You want to see different things in your game. I get it. The fans are right there with you. But see, here's the problem. When you try to control the meta by banning 4 heroes for everyone, you're just repeating the exact same thing. We're going to see the same comp that teams are going to try to figure out here in the next 4 weeks for the June Joust based around those 4 heroes being banned. So, prime example. Tracer and Sombra, 2 strong DPS characters. They're gone. Who comes in? Well, the 2 we've seen come in pretty frequently is Echo, for sure. 100% feels like everyone's running Echo on every single map. And then you have a combination of Doomfist, Mei, and I saw a little bit of a Hanzo play come in as well. Maybe Reaper. So those are some other flex that you have coming in too, but that also goes along with the team comp. So you get rid of Reinhardt. Why do you get rid of Reinhardt? Oh, you don't like the double shield meta. Okay, cool. I get it. You don't like the fact that Reinhardt can be used in Rush. So you get rid of him. Okay, cool. You have Orisa, who has a very mobile shield that curves that can protect a lot of the team as well. You have Sigma that has a shield as well. Congratulations, double shields again. It just blows my mind. I like the idea of bans. Let the teams ban each other out, though. That's the way you make it interesting. That's one of the reasons why League of Legends has been so popular for so long, is that teams create bans around the teams they're playing. So, for example, let's take Thresh and support. If Thresh is OP for one team of League of Legends, Thresh is probably going to be a ban because they don't want that character to be played by the other team. It's as simple as that. It makes sense, right? You do the same thing in Overwatch. It limits that you can't play that character either. So you have to weigh the options. Do I want to play this character, or do I want to make sure that other character can't be played? That's the way it should be done. And I feel like we're beating a dead horse. But the June Joust is just evident of this, that these talented teams especially only giving like 2-3 days notice of this ban pool coming out, don't have time to figure this out. Like, we criticize a lot of other organizations for making major game changes 24 hours, 2 days prior to a major tournament. It makes me upset to see that something massive like a meta change with Tracer, Sombra, Reinhardt, and Zenyatta being taken out on such short notice, and we expect these players who put in 14, 15, 16 hours of practice time every day to figure it out in 2 days. I mean, it's tough. And like Justice fans, like we're right there with you. Like we're Justice fans. Like we don't, we're not keeping that a secret from anyone. It's not fun to watch a team that went 4-1 go 0-2. It's tough. And it's purely because of that meta. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating. I'll just leave it there. I would rather them leave the bans to the players.
Well, and I think one of the arguments against it in the past has been, I don't know if it's been the league saying it or we've just heard different analysts and things say it here and there, is they want to go into a full pick and ban system, something like you have in a League of Legends or a Dota 2, which is great. You just don't have enough real heroes to be able to do that at this point in a game like Overwatch, nor do I think it's necessarily necessary when it comes down to the game itself. I think at this point you throw in 2 bans. Each team gets 2 bans. John's the Washington Justice. I'm the Dallas Fuel. He says, hey, I'm going to ban Reinhardt. Okay, I'm going to ban Zarya. We just ban back and forth, and neither team can play those bans. There doesn't have to be a draft. Everyone can play Winston if they want to, as long as he's not banned. So I think that's really what we need to see implemented at some point. I don't think we do see it implemented this season. I don't even know if we see it implemented next season. It kind of depends probably on Overwatch 2. But I feel like just 2 bans per team. If they add a bunch of heroes, then maybe you make it 3 bans per team. But you're banning 4 already anyway. Tracer, Sombra, Reinhardt, Zenyatta. Why not just allow the teams to choose on that? Allow them to build their strategy a bit more than knowing just a couple days ahead of time. And again, I think the Overwatch League is doing a lot of great things. This ban system for me is just one of the ones that's a little bit harmful, not only to the teams and the league and the fans, it seems to make a bit of an imbalance that doesn't need to be there at this point. I get it. You had to find a way to move past GOATs. We've moved past that at this point, and now you have role lock implemented. And I don't inherently think bans are a bad thing. I just think league-wide bans are not necessarily what anyone wants to see from a fan level up to an organizational level. So we'll keep an eye on that, though. We did go over some of the updated standings. We're going to have some more action coming up this next week, as well as we get closer and closer to the June Joust. I know we talk about the Washington Justice a lot because both of us are fans of that club, and we're based out of Washington, D.C. They do not have a game upcoming this weekend, but you can go ahead and catch us on the co-stream for their YouTube channel the following weekend once we enter into June.
June 4th.
June 4th.
Shameless.
And that is up against who? Do you have it right in front of you?
Oh boy, don't do that to me. Hold on. I actually
had the date ready.
I'll just jump over here real quick. Against the Florida Mayhem, the team that knocked them out of the May Melee.
Oh, we'll see. We'll call some mayhem for the mayhem, hopefully. Now we'll have another couple weeks to get used to this new meta before it shifts again. So we'll see what we have coming out. But I'm excited. I'm excited for them to get back on their feet. It was tough to cast this past weekend. It's never tough to cast a team that's struggling a bit here and there. But again, John and I coming in, understanding that the picks and bans coming out, or the bans rather, the lack of picks, just seems to be a struggle for a lot of these top tier teams. And it wasn't just the Justice losing. A lot of these teams really taken off guard, moving from the May meta to the June meta. So we'll see how things shake up. But for now, let's transition from the Overwatch League over to League of Legends. Getting close to wrapping up today's episode. Again, a little bit shorter after our marathon episode last week. Touching on MSI to kick things off, John. So we saw RNG go up against Damwon Gaming in the finals. In the end, it is China, the LPL, reigning on top once again, taking down the LCK champions of Damwon Gaming. RNG with the win, 3-2, going the full length best of 5, and then RNG just bringing the heat and absolutely dominating in that game 5.
Yeah, we had this one going the distance. I'm pretty sure I picked Korea because, if Joey's an Xbox shill, I'm a shill for Korea. We'll just go and throw that out there. But RNG taking it. I think it was a very exciting 5 games. Silver scrapes, please, and thank you. These are the kind of finals you want. You don't like watching 3-0s. 3-1s can be entertaining, but you want to see it go the distance. These were obviously the 2 best teams at MSI this year, and they put on a fantastic show going 5 games. Congratulations to RNG for that as well. And we'll see if we'll see if Damwon can bounce back.
Yeah, absolutely. And a shout out to PSG and Mad Lions as well, who finished in 3rd and 4th respectively. Both those teams really, I'm not going to say making a name for themselves, maybe, but yeah, I mean, in a sense, they both are. Neither one of them have had a ton of international success before. Both coming out here, both making it to the knockout rounds, and then both taking some games and putting some pressure, rather, on these top-tier teams of Damwon and Royal Never Give Up. So I think a lot of credit going to both those as well. In the end, we did see it come up a bit chalky with China and South Korea moving on. But PSG, again, taking a game off RNG is no slouch. China being such a strong region and PSG being one of those teams that's not as well known, still taking a game. And then Mad Lions actually forcing a game 5 up against Damwon, up against the World Championship team Damwon. Now, they are a little bit different. They don't have Nagari in the top lane anymore, but this is still a very talented team with a lot of pieces put together to potentially make another run at that World Championship. In the end, though, China does take the win here. South Korea back in 2nd place for now. We'll see if that changes as we head closer to Worlds. And speaking of Worlds, John, this is some exciting news. It just broke this week that Riot Games has announced the 2021 League of Legends World Championship Final will be held in Shenzhen, China on November 6th. It'll be at the Universiade, I think that's how it's pronounced, Sports Center Stadium. That is not in Chinese, so I don't even know what just happened there. But that's a thing. So with a capacity of 60,000 people, so they're hoping they're going to be able to pull more people in. I honestly don't know what the up-to-date regulations are looking like in China at this point, so I don't know if that is going to be able to be filled or what that's going to look like exactly, but hopefully quite a few fans will be able to make it in person. Originally, it was supposed to be there last year with COVID-19 hitting kind of in full effect at that point. They ended up saying, hey, we're not going to do this World Championship at this stadium with fans there, so we did end up seeing quite a few changes. And because of that, there was an agreement for them to return to China this year, which it seems they will be doing, and with some sort of live audience. Not 100% sure how many of those 60,000 seats will be filled, but whatever is sold will be filled. I can almost guarantee that. I'm excited, John. I think Worlds is great. I think it's fun watching it virtually, but I think having fans there just adds so much more to it.
Yeah, I've already booked my tickets. I'm ready to go.
Shenzhen, China?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. No cap.
Wow. All bottle, no cap,
All
fam.
bottle,
You heard
no
it
cap.
here. But that about does it, John. We've hit on a lot of esports. We've hit on some gaming leaks. We've talked a little bit about some other stuff going on in terms of console sales. It's, again, a bit of a shorter episode. Not too much has happened since we last spoke to you guys on Thursday night, so we're kind of waiting for a couple more bits of news to come in, but I have a feeling the cycle is going to be a little bit slower. We have seen some delays, like the Battlefield trailer was supposed to come out, but was delayed to June. Some of the EA stuff that was originally going to come out has been delayed to June as well. I think some will be in E3 showcases. Some will be in the EA Play Live event in July. Yeah, I mean, I really don't know how much else is going to drop prior to E3 and Summer Game Fest. So it might be a slow couple weeks here outside of some esports news, but then we should start seeing some gaming news come hot and heavy once Summer Game Fest kicks off, as well as E3. The only other thing to look for is there are some rumors that we could see some Far Cry stuff. Some of the embargoes are supposed to be up as of May 28th is what I'm hearing. So we'll have to see if anything drops early, maybe next week for that. But other than that, if not, you'll probably have to wait for the Ubisoft event. So guys, keep an eye out for that. That pretty much does it for today's show. Valorant action still playing, CDL heading into stage 4, Overwatch League, new meta action still continuing, and a lot more.
Well, Nation, that will do it for this edition of LvLUp Live. But before you go, head on over to patreon.com/OTN and consider becoming a part of the Overtime Network. In return, you'll get access to exclusive content that nobody else in the world can get unless they are part of OTN Media. If you have not already done so, make sure you follow the show here live on Twitch for the next episode of LvLUp Live. If you listen to the show on our podcast feed, please do leave us a review. LvLUp Podcast is available on Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, and Google Play. We would love to hear from you. In fact, we love to hear from all of our viewers and listeners so much. We have multiple ways for you to reach out to us. Joey, what are some of those ways?
Absolutely. LvLUp Nation, head on over to Twitter and find the podcast at LvLUp Live. That is LvLUP Live. In addition to that, you can follow the umbrella company OTN Media on Twitter and Facebook at OTN Media, and on Instagram at OTN_media. Last but not least, guys, hit us up with a follow, maybe even a Twitch Prime sub, whatever you want to give us. Give us some love. Come and hang out and chat over here on Twitch. That's twitch.tv/OTN Media. This show, LvLUp, Mondays and Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as well as a number of other streams throughout the week, and hopefully some exciting plans for the week to come.
All right, make sure you tune in this Thursday, May 27th, as we cover the latest and greatest in gaming and esports news. Do your ears and eyes a favor, hit that sub and follow button on your podcast feed or Twitch or YouTube, all of them. Hit all of them so you know when the next episode of LvLUp Live is ready for your listening and viewing pleasures. We'll catch you all on Thursday. Have a fantastic week. Remember, be nice to your fellow gamers online. And as always,
Level up.